Hello and welcome to study session number 8 of Daily Memory Lab. In today's study session, we are going to revise page number 16 to 19 of e-Waybill chapter round 3, and after that we will move on to supply under GST chapter. We will do round 2 of page number 11 to 16, and then we will start from page number 17 and we will go on till page number 22 or 23 depending upon the time that we have, which will be the round 1 for this set of pages. Okay, so let me start with e-Waybill chapter, page number 16 of e-Waybill. Validity period of e-Waybill or consolidated e-Waybill, Rule 138, Subrule 10. The validity of e-Waybill depends on the distance to be travelled by the goods. For a distance of less than 200 kilometers, the e-Waybill will be valid for a day from the relevant date. For every 200 kilometers thereafter, the validity will be additional 1 day from the relevant date. Okay, so serial number, distance within the country, up to 200 kilometers, validity period from relevant date. 1 day in cases other than over-dimensional cargo or multimodal shipment in which at least one leg involves transport by ship. For every 200 kilometers or part thereof, one additional day in cases other than over-dimensional cargo or multimodal shipment in which at least one leg involves transport by ship. Up to 20 kilometers, 1 day in case of over-dimensional cargo or multimodal shipment in which at least one leg involves transport by ship. For every 20 kilometers or part thereof, one additional day in case of over-dimensional cargo or multimodal shipment in which at least one leg involves transport by ship. Relevant date means the date on which the e-Waybill has been generated, and the period of validity shall be counted from the time at which the e-Waybill has been generated, and each day shall be counted as a period expiring at midnight of the day immediately following the date of generation of e-Waybill. This can be explained by following examples. Suppose an e-Waybill is generated at 0004 hours on 14th March, then first day would end on 12th midnight of then the first day would end on 12 midnight of 15th March or 15th to 16th March. Second day will end on 12 midnight of 16th 17th March, and so on. Suppose an e-Waybill is generated at 23:58 hours on 14th March, then first day would end on 12 midnight of 15-16 March. Second day will end on 12 midnight of 16-17 March, and so on. The validity of the e-Waybill starts when first entry is made in part B, that is, vehicle entry is made first time in case of road transportation, or first transport document number entry in case of rail, air, ship transportation, whichever is the first entry. It may be noted that validity is not recalculated for subsequent entries in part B. A consignor hands over his goods for transportation on Friday to transporter. However, the assigned transporter starts the movement of goods on Monday. The validity period of e-Waybill starts only after the details in part B are updated by the transporter for the first time. In the given situation, consignor can fill the details in part A on Friday and hand over his goods to the transporter. When the transporter is ready to move the goods, he can fill part B, that is, the assigned transporter can fill the details in part B on Monday, and the validity period of the e-Waybill will start from Monday. CBIC press release dated 31/3/2018. A registered person has to transport goods from its warehouse to its depot located at a distance of 500 kilometers in a normal cargo. In the given case, if e-Waybill is generated, it will be valid for 3 days. Okay, what is over-dimensional cargo? Over-dimensional cargo means a cargo carried as a single indivisible unit and which exceeds the dimensional limits prescribed in rule number 93 of the Central Motor Vehicle Rules 1989, made under the Motor Vehicles Act 1988. Okay, extension of validity period. If validity of the e-Waybill expires, the goods are not supposed to be moved. In general, the validity of the e-Waybill cannot be extended. However, the validity of the e-way bill can be extended in the following cases. Extension by Commissioner for certain categories of goods. Commissioner may, on the recommendations of the Council, by notification, extend the validity period of an e-way bill for certain categories of goods as may be specified therein. Extension by transporter in exceptional circumstances. Under circumstances of exceptional nature, including transshipment, the goods cannot be transported within the validity period of the e-way bill. The transporter may extend the validity period after updating the details in Part B if required. Thus, the transporter who is carrying the consignment as per the e-way bill system at the time of expiry of validity period can extend the validity period. Such transporter can extend the validity of the e-way bill if the consignment is not being reached the destination within the validity period due to exceptional circumstances like natural calamity, law and order issues, transshipment delay, accident of conveyance, etc. He needs to explain this reason in details while extending the validity period. The validity of the e-way bill may be extended within 8 hours from the time of its expiry. Acceptance of e-way bill. The details of the e-way bill generated shall be made available to the supplier if registered, where the information in Part A has been furnished by the recipient or transporter, or recipient if registered, where the information in Part A has been furnished by the supplier or transporter on the common portal, and the supplier recipient, as the case may be, shall communicate his acceptance or rejection of the consignment covered by the e-way bill. Rule 138, Sub-Rule 11. In case the person to whom the information in Part A is made available does not communicate his acceptance or rejection within the specified time, it shall be deemed that he has accepted the said details. The time limit specified for this purpose is 72 hours of the details being made available to him on the common portal, or the time of delivery of goods, whichever is earlier. Rule 138, Sub-Rule 12. E-way bill generated in one state is valid in another state. The e-way bill generated under this rule or under Rule 138 of the GST rules of any state or union territory shall be valid in every state and union territory. Rule 138, Sub-Rule 13. Points to remember. E-way bill is not valid for movement of goods without vehicle number on it. If there is a mistake, incorrect or wrong entry in the e-way bill, then it cannot be edited or corrected. Only option is cancellation of e-way bill within 24 hours of generation and generate a new one with correct details. E-way bill may be updated with vehicle number any number of times. The latest vehicle number should be available on e-way bill and should match with the vehicle carrying it in case checked by the department. If multiple invoices are issued by the supplier to recipient, that is, for movement of goods of more than one invoice of same consignor and consignee, multiple e-way bills have to be generated. That is, for each invoice, one e-way bill has to be generated, irrespective of the fact whether same or different consignor or consignees are involved. Multiple invoices cannot be clubbed to generate one e-way bill. However, after generating all these e-way bills, one consolidated e-way bill can be prepared for transportation purpose if goods are going in one vehicle. Okay, so we have completed today's quota of revising e-way bill chapter. We have come till page number 19. Revision is done. We can proceed to revise round 2 of supply under GST chapter, which is page number 11 to page number 16. Okay, analysis. Let us start from here itself. The definition of supply as contained in section 7 is an inclusive definition and does not define the term exhaustively. It defines the scope of supply in an inclusive manner. Clause A of subsection 1 illustrates the form of supply, but the list is not exhaustive. This is further substantiated by the use of words such as in the definition. The meaning and Provisions of scope of supply under CGST Act have also been made applicable to IGST Act wide section 20 of the IGST Act. The meaning and scope of supply in terms of section 7 can be understood in terms of the following parameters. The supply should be of goods or services. Supply should be made for a consideration. Supply should be made in the course or furtherance of business. Okay, so let us see these parameters one by one. Aforesaid parameters describe the concept of supply. However, there are a few exceptions to second and third parameters. The requirement of supply being made for a consideration and in the course or furtherance of business in the GST law. Few exceptions have been carved out where a transaction is deemed to be a supply even without consideration, contained in Schedule 1 discussed later in this chapter. Similarly, the condition of supply to be made in the course or furtherance of business has been relaxed in case of import of services. Import of services for a consideration, whether or not in the course or furtherance of business, is treated as supply. Further, there are also cases where a transaction is kept out of scope of supply despite the existence of above parameters. That is, there is a list of activities which are neither treated as supply of goods nor as supply of services. In other words, they are outside the scope of GST. GST law has classified certain activities or transactions either as supply of goods or as supply of services. Government is also empowered to notify transactions that are to be treated as a supply of goods and not as supply of services, or as a supply of services and not as a supply of goods. In the subsequent paras, the above aspect of supply have been extensively discussed. The discussion has been broadly categorized into following. Okay, supply includes supply of goods or services for consideration in the course or furtherance of business. It means supply should be of goods or services or both. Supply includes specified forms of supply, should be for consideration and should be in the course or furtherance of business. Forms of supply, consideration, in course or furtherance of business. Supply includes activities or transaction between a person other than an individual and its members or constituents for cash, deferred payment or other valuable consideration. 7 subsection 1 clause AA. Importation of services for consideration whether or not in course or furtherance of business. 7 subsection 1 clause B. Supply without consideration. 7 subsection 1 clause C plus schedule 1. Supply excludes non-supplies under GST. 7 subsection 2 schedule 3, and then activities to be treated as supply of goods or supply of services, section 7 1A schedule 2. Supply of goods or services for consideration in course or furtherance of business. Supply should be of goods or services or both. So whatever that we are seeing here is being explained here. Okay, the definition of supply begins with the term supply includes, thus making it clear that GST Act intends to give an extensive meaning to the term supply. Supply includes all form of supply of goods or services or both. Supply of anything other than goods or services like money, securities, etc. does not attract GST. So all goods and all services are covered except certain goods or services which are non-supply, which are like money and securities. The term goods and services as defined under the Act have been analyzed by way of diagram on the next page. Anything supplied other than goods and services is outside the scope of supply. Goods means every kind of movable property, which includes actionable claim, which also includes growing crops, grass, and things attached to or forming part of the land, which are agreed to be severed before supply or under a contract of supply. Services means anything other than goods, which includes activities relating to use of money, conversion of money by cash or by any other mode from one form or currency or denomination to another for which a separate consideration is charged. So, goods and services exclude money and securities, but it still includes use of money and conversion of money. Money exchange, currency exchange services will be covered under GST. And goods include, it means every kind of movable property. It also includes actionable claim and growing crops like plants and all that we sell before, which are attached to earth, but we sever it or we will cut it to take it out from earth before selling it. Okay, supply includes specified forms of supply, should be for consideration and should be in the course or furtherance of business. So this we saw first. Now we are seeing this next. Supply includes specified forms of supply, should be for consideration and should be in course or furtherance of business. The first part of section 7 clause A of subsection 1 includes all forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, disposal, made or agreed to be made for consideration in the course or furtherance of business. So all forms of supply for consideration in the course or furtherance of business. It is important to note that supply includes all forms of supply within its purview, though 8 illustrative forms of supply have been enlisted in the definition. Further, supply as contemplated in this first part has two prerequisites. One is the supply should be for a consideration and the supply should be in the course or furtherance of business. We shall discuss first the various forms of supply as illustrated in 7 subsection 1 clause A in detail. Let us discuss about this forms of supply in detail. Various forms of supply contemplated in section 7(1)(a) are sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease or disposal. These forms of supply are only illustrative, not exhaustive. Okay, so that is to be underlined. These forms of supply are only illustrative and not exhaustive. However, none of these terms have been defined under the Act. In order to understand their meaning, we have taken recourse to their dictionary meaning or otherwise and have explained them as follows. Sale and transfer. The dictionary meaning of term sale is the act of selling, specifically the transfer of ownership of and a title to property from one person to another person for a price. As per the Sale of Goods Act 1930, a contract of sale of goods is a contract whereby the seller transfers or agrees to transfer the property in goods to the buyer for a price. Further, the term transfer has been defined in Black's Law Dictionary as to convey or remove from one place, person, etc. to another, pass or hand over from one to another, specifically to make over the possession or control of. A shopkeeper sells a pen for 100 rupees to the buyer. After the sale, the pen belongs to the buyer and the shopkeeper does not have any right on the pen. This is a transaction of sale. A company transfers goods from its factory to the depot for sale purposes. This is not transfer of goods where the sale has not yet taken place, because there are not even two parties to the transaction. So you cannot clearly define a buyer to the seller. A company is transferring its own goods from its own factory to its own depot. Both belong to the company. So therefore there is only transfer of goods, but there is no sale. Okay, topic 2, barter and exchange. The dictionary meaning of the term barter is to exchange goods or services for other goods or services instead of using money. Black's Law Dictionary defines the term exchange as an act of giving or taking one thing for another. While barter deals with a transaction which only includes an exchange of goods or services, exchange may cover a situation where the goods are paid for partly in goods and partly in money. Where there is a barter of goods or services, same activity, when there is a barter of goods or services, same activity constitutes supply as well as consideration. So barter and exchange, they kind of look similar, but they are slightly different. The difference can be appreciated as follows. Let's say I gave my computer to a person and that person gives me his smartphone to me. So I have, let's say, 3-4 year old laptop. I gave it to that person. In return for that, that person is giving me his good quality smartphone. So, and beyond this, there is no exchange of money or anything like that. One good to another good transaction is complete. So this is barter, proper barter. Exchange something and get something back. But exchanged is different. It is where you normally do on Amazon or Flipkart, isn't it? Let's say you want to buy a new smartphone and you give your old smartphone as exchange. Let's say your new smartphone is 50,000 in price, and the smartphone that you are currently using, Amazon says that we will take it for 8,000 rupees. So you give your smartphone and you pay the rest of 42,000 in the form of money to complete the purchase. So that transaction is exchange. Barter is properly goods to goods or service to service, no cash or money involved. Exchange is goods plus money involved. Okay, so when a new car worth rupees 5 lakh is purchased in exchange of an old car along with the monetary consideration of 4 lakh paid for the said purchase, this is exchange transaction. A doctor got his hair cut from a barber and provides him medical consultancy in return. In this transaction, the doctor provided the medical consultancy services to the barber, for which consideration was in the form of haircutting services provided by the barber. Similarly, the barber provided haircutting services to the doctor, for which consideration was in the form of medical consultancy services provided by the doctor. So, this is what we had studied yesterday. So, round 2 of this is also done. Now, let us proceed for today's quota. Let us see how much ever we will be able to complete. License, lease, rental, and disposal. The dictionary meaning of the term license is a permission granted by competent authority to engage in a business or occupation or in an activity otherwise unlawful. The dictionary meaning of rental is an arrangement to rent something, or the amount of money that you pay to rent something, and that of lease is to make a legal agreement by which money is paid in order to use land, a building, a vehicle, or a piece of equipment for an agreed period of time. Black's Law Dictionary defines disposal as the sale, pledge, giving away, use, consumption of any other disposition of a thing. Under GST, such licenses, leases, and rentals of goods with or without transfer of right to use are covered under the supply of service because there is no transfer of title in such supplies. Such transactions are specifically treated as supply of service in Schedule 2 of CGST Act. Okay. As discussed earlier, one of the parameters to qualify as a supply of goods and or services is that a supply is made for a consideration. This parameter has been explained in the following paragraphs. Okay, so here they have given again a kind of definition only about licensing, leasing, renting and disposing. So with that form of supply is complete. Now we will go to the next limb of that definition, which is the consideration part. The dictionary meaning of word consideration is payment. Consideration need not always be in the form of money. It can be in money or in kind. It covers anything which might be possibly done, given, or made in exchange for something else. Further, a consideration need not always flow from the recipient of the supply. It can also be made by a third person. Okay. However, any subsidy given by the central government or further a consideration need not always flow from the recipient of the supply. It can also be made by a third person. However, any subsidy given by the central government or a state government is not considered as consideration. Okay. A deposit given in respect of the supply of goods or services or both shall not be considered as payment made for such supply unless the supplier applies such deposit as consideration of the said supply. Okay. The term consideration is defined under section 231, clause 31. Okay, as follows. Consideration, payment in money or otherwise for the supply. monetary value of any act or forbearance for the supply, payment or deposit to be considered as payment only when the supplier applies such deposit as consideration for the said supply. This we saw yesterday in the example where we were the tenant of a house and we gave advance to the house owner and we gave a notice of vacating the house. The house owner, let's say you have to stay for another 3 months notice period. So in that notice period, the house owner will start deducting whatever the rental advance that we gave as the next 3 months rent, and they will give the balance leftover amount. Let's say we give 5 months advance, so we will get 2 months advance back after getting deducted of the 3 months advance as 3 months rent. So in that situation, that advance will be treated as consideration. Okay. Monetary value of any act or forbearance for the supply, excluding subsidy given by central or state government. Okay, let us examine the existence of consideration in the following 3 scenarios. Donations received by charitable institutions from individual donors without quid pro quo. Okay, so this is a legal term. I really don't understand what is quid pro quo. I think, okay, they have given the explanation here. Something for something, it seems. Okay. Donations received by charitable institutions from individual donors without something for something. Okay. Artwork sent by artists to galleries for exhibition. No claim bonus offered by an insurance company to the insured. So these are just 3 illustrative scenarios. Now they are saying that will they apply as consideration or not? Okay, let us see them in detail. Donations received by charitable institutions from individual donors without quid pro quo. Okay, an important feature of consideration is quid pro quo, something for something. Okay, how you should read, donations received by charitable institutions from individual donors without expectation. So I give donation, in return for that I don't expect anything, so that is without quid pro quo. So I think this quid pro quo here, it means as expectation, because it's quite obvious, isn't it? So let's say a lot of people do lobbying, isn't it? They give donation to somebody and then because of the donation they will have a big influence on that particular charitable activity. Okay, donations received by charitable organizations are treated as consideration only if there exists quid pro quo, that is, there is an obligation on the part of recipient of the donation or gift to do anything. Okay, understandable. Generally, institutions such as religious institutions, charitable organizations, schools, hospitals, orphanages, old age homes receive financial help or any other support in the form of donation or gift from the individual donors. In order to express the gratitude towards such help or support, the recipient institutions place a name plate or such acknowledgement in their premises. When the name of the donor is displayed in recipient institution's premises in such a manner which can be said to be an expression of gratitude and public recognition of donor's act of philanthropy and is not aimed at giving publicity to the donor in such manner that it would be an advertising or promotion of his business, then it can be said that there is no supply of service for the payment in the form of donation. In other words, there is no obligation on part of recipient of the donation or gift to do anything. Therefore, there is no GST liability on such payment made. Some examples of cases where there would be no taxable supply are as follows. Bhushan donated a blackboard to Yoganist Sansthan, a charitable yoga institution. Yoganist Sansthan printed underneath the blackboard so donated, good wishes from Mr. Bhushan. Srimati Durga Devi donated some money to a temple in the memory of her late father. The temple trust constructed a room in the temple complex from such donation and wrote donated by Srimati Durga Devi in the memory of her father on the door of the room. In the above examples, it may be noticed that there is no reference or mention of any business activity of the donor which otherwise would have got advertised. Okay. Therefore, GST is not leviable where all the following 3 conditions are satisfied. Gift is made, payments has the character of gift or donation, and purpose is philanthropic, and there is no other reciprocation that is to be expected. There is no quid pro quo. Okay. Artworks sent by artists to galleries for exhibition is not a supply, as no consideration flows from the gallery to the artists. Artists give their work of art to galleries where it is exhibited for supply. However, no consideration flows from the gallery to the artist when the artworks are sent to the gallery for exhibition, and therefore the same is not a supply. It is only when a buyer selects a particular artwork displayed at the gallery that the actual supply takes place, and applicable GST would be payable at the time of such supply. Okay. So just because you want to host your artwork in a gallery, that is not a supply. Okay, it's been clarified like that. After being hosted, let's say a person is interested, a viewer is interested, he wants to buy, then it will become sale of good, then it will be a supply. Third situation, no supply of service by the insured to the insurance company instead of no claim bonus offered by said insurance company to him. The issue which arose for consideration was whether the deduction on whether the deduction on account of no claim bonus allowed by the insurance company from the insurance premium payable by the insured can be considered as consideration for the supply provided by the insured to the insurance company for agreeing to the obligation to refrain from the act of lodging insurance claim during the previous year or years. As per practice prevailing in the insurance sector, the insurance companies deduct no claim bonus from the gross insurance premium amount when no claim is made by the insured person during the previous insurance period. Okay. The customer or insured procures insurance policy to indemnify himself from any loss or injury as per the terms of the policy and is not under any contractual obligation not to claim insurance claim during any period covered under the policy instead of in lieu of no claim bonus. It is therefore clarified that there is no supply provided by the insured to the insurance company in form of agreeing to the obligation to refrain from the act of lodging insurance claim during the previous year or years, and the no claim bonus cannot be considered as a consideration for any supply to be provided by the insured to the insurance company. Another parameter to qualify as supply of goods or services is that a supply is made in the course or furtherance of business. Okay, so this is about the next definition. Okay, next part of the definition. Any transaction involving supply of goods or services without consideration is not a supply unless it is deemed to be a supply under Schedule 1. Okay, so I'm just still wondering about these two paragraphs, particularly the middle paragraph. As per practice prevailing in the insurance sector, because the writing is not pretty clear. As per practice prevailing in the insurance sector, the insurance companies deduct no claim bonus from the gross insurance premium amount. Okay, so let's say my let's say I want to renew insurance of my two-wheeler. It comes up to, let's say, 1,300. And in the previous year, I did not have any problem, so I did not claim any insurance money or about with the insurance. So naturally, I will have a deduction in current year. Let's say 200 rupees, they are giving me a no claim bonus. Now, what is the situation here? That 200 rupees, will it be treated as consideration or not? That's the question here. As per prevailing practice in the insurance sector, the insurance companies deduct NCB from the gross insurance premium amount when no claim is made by the insured person during the previous year. Fine. The customer procures insurance policy to indemnify himself from any loss as per the terms of the policy. The customer procures insurance policy to indemnify himself from any loss, and customer is not under any contractual obligation not to claim insurance claim during any period covered under the policy in lieu of NCB. This is a wrong usage of this term, in lieu of. In lieu of actually means instead of. Okay, so here what they mean to say is about NCB, regarding NCB. So this is what they are trying to say here. This is what got me confused the first time when I read this. So this is a common error that a lot of people make when they write this, when they use this term in lieu of. In lieu of actually means instead of. Here now let me read the same thing in my own way of explanation. The customer procures insurance policy to indemnify himself from any loss and is not under any contractual obligation not to claim insurance during any period covered under the policy regarding no claim bonus. So, I take insurance policy. I don't have any compulsion to particularly not claim insurance claim. That would defeat the whole purpose of insurance, isn't it? So, I don't know whether I will have a problem or not. If I have a problem, I'm definitely going to claim insurance. So, the contractual obligation I don't have on my part as a customer. I can claim or I cannot claim. The insurance company is not forbidding me to say that, forbidding me to claim that, okay, you should not claim, for that I will give you a bonus. No, it doesn't work like that. I just happened so that my life went well. I didn't have to have any, unfortunate circumstances to happen. So I don't have to claim anything regarding insurance in the previous year. So because of that, the insurance company is kind of rewarding me in the next year. So therefore, it is therefore clarified that there is no supply provided by the insured company. So insurance company is not doing any specific service to me by making me not claim insurance claim in the previous year. Okay. The insurance company is not providing any supply by the insured. There is no supply provided by the insured to the insured company in the form of agreeing to the obligation to refrain from the act of lodging insurance claim. I am actually not agreeing to the insurance company. Okay, for this 1 year I will pay you 1,000 rupees premium, but I will not claim any insurance. If I say like that, then that is actually a conscious acceptance from my end to the insurance company. Okay, I am not going to claim. Now this is like a proper exchange, contractual exchange between two parties. Now that will be an actual supply, and for that the no claim bonus will be a consideration. I have not given any concurrence from my end to say that okay, this year I will not make any claims. I don't know that. I might make claims because I might have some problems with my vehicle. Okay, fine. So no claim bonus is not a consideration. That's the final bottom line. Fine. Let us talk about the last limb of this definition: in course or furtherance of business. GST is essentially a tax only on commercial transactions. Hence, only those supplies that are in the course or furtherance of business qualify as supply under GST. Resultantly, any supplies made by an individual in his personal capacity do not come under the ambit of GST unless they fall within the definition of business. Meaning of supply made in the course or furtherance of business. Any activity undertaken in course or furtherance of business would constitute a supply. In order to understand the term in the course or furtherance of business, we need to understand the term business. Business, as defined under section 2 clause 17 inter alia, includes any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, vocation, whether or not undertaken for a monetary benefit. The definition of business has been summarized in the diagram below. Any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, even if there is no pecuniary benefit. Any activity incidental or ancillary to it. Any activity of same nature, even if no volume or continuity. Okay. Supply, acquisition of goods including capital goods and services in connection with commencement or closure of business. Okay. Provision of facilities by club or association to its member for consideration. Admission for consideration to any premises. Services as holder of office accepted in course or furtherance of trade or profession. Activities of a race club including by way of totalizator or a license to bookmaker or activities of a licensed bookmaker in such club. Any activity by government or local authority as public authorities. So these are all business, includes all these activities. Any trade. So first is like a wide thing. Any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, etc. Even if there is no pecuniary benefit. I want to know what is pecuniary benefit. Pecuniary benefit means any gain or advantage in the form of money, property, commercial interest, or anything else the primary significance of which is economic gain. Okay, so basically they are saying even if there is no economic benefit, even if there is no economic gain, it will still be considered as business. Okay, therefore thus business includes any activity or transaction which is, we will stop with this paragraph. Okay, thus business includes any activity or transaction which is incidental or ancillary to any trade, commerce, manufacture, vocation, adventure, wager, bet, or any other similar activity. In addition, any activity undertaken by central government or a state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authority shall also be construed as business. For any trade, commerce, or any other activity similar to qualify as business, frequency, volume, continuity, or regularity of such a transaction or obtaining pecuniary benefit from it is not a prerequisite. Even if you do one trade per year, even if you do one trade in 2 years, it will still be considered as a business. Okay, from now on, the examples and everything we will see in tomorrow's study session. So let me update the today's progress. So we started from page 17 and we have completed till page 22. This will be revised tomorrow. Round 1 studied on 10th of October. So round 2 will form tomorrow. Okay then, I hope this study session was useful. Thank you for staying with me. I hope you had a good productive time. I had a good productive time. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you and bye bye.